Hi, my name is Carrie Janiski, and I'm an osteopathic physician practicing sports medicine, occupational medicine, osteopathic manipulative medicine, and family medicine in Turlock, California at Romeo Medical Clinic. I also teach yoga at Warrior Yoga Turlock, and I enjoy inversions because they give me an opportunity to shift gravity, how it applies to my spine, and enjoy a sense of decompression. There are many cautions to consider when thinking about doing inversion poses as a part of your own yoga practice, and some of those include high or low blood pressure, a history of migraine or other types of headaches, osteoarthritis in your neck, or any of your upper extremity joints, as these joints do bear more weight in inversion type poses than in typical activities of daily living. Other cautions might include pregnancy, or being actively on your menstrual cycle, dizziness, vertigo, glaucoma, or other eye conditions that might lead to increased pressure, and certainly any other types of injuries, illnesses, or fear or anxiety of being in any of these positions that might prevent you from being in one of these poses safely. An inversion pose is any pose that brings your head below the level of your heart, and that can look like many different shapes. We'll start with a pose called puppy pose, which is a gentle inversion. Though it is performed on the knees, you may require or like some extra padding underneath your knees for this pose. You'll start in tabletop with your hands about shoulder width apart and your knees about hips width apart. Your wrists should be directly under your shoulders to start, and your knees directly underneath your hips. Curl your toes under to keep your legs active and give yourself a bit more control over what your body is doing. From here, stretch your arms forward toward the top edge of your mat and let your chest fall and your forehead come to the mat. You'll find a gentle back bend through your spine. You may want to adjust gently the position of your head or your arms so you don't feel any uncomfortable tension in your shoulders. At this point in the pose, you're welcome to uncurl your toes if that feels more comfortable on your feet. In addition to being an inversion, this pose is also a back bend and a great stretch for your shoulders. An inversion is any pose that brings your head lower than your heart, and that can look like a lot of different body shapes. For this one, we will be doing downward facing dog, which will put some weight into both our hands and our feet. You may like to do a wrist warm up or stretch before doing this pose to resolve some of the tension you might feel through your hands or wrists. If at any point during this or any pose in yoga, you're feeling an undue amount of strain or discomfort into any weight-bearing joint, we do recommend that you take a break. You'll start in tabletop position with your hands spread about shoulder width apart on the mat and your wrists directly underneath your shoulders. You'll bring your knees directly underneath your hips, about hips width apart on the mat, and curl your toes under behind you. From this position, press your toes into the mat and slowly lift your pelvis up into the air to create an upside down V shape with your body. Your heels may or may not touch the mat, and you may find that you like to adjust your hands more forward or more out to the edges of your mat to make room for your shoulders. In this position, we are in a posterior chain stretch, including the plantar fascia, calves, and hamstring muscles, a gentle back bend if we slightly exaggerate the lordosis of the lumbar spine by reaching the sacrum to the ceiling, as well as an inversion with weight into the upper extremities. So be mindful of the sensations you're feeling in your body and let them be ones that feel challenging but not painful.
Good. 5.
In this pose, we will be doing forward fold. You might like to begin with a big stretch, reaching your arms up in what we call extended mountain pose, or not. And then we'll slowly just dive forward Taking a slight bend in the hamstrings to relieve any undue tension on the hamstrings or the lower back. And then let your head hang forward. Have your feet about hips width apart or wider. If you need a little extra room for your pelvis. And either place your hands on the floor, on your shins, on a pillow or a block, or you could clasp your elbows and let the weight of your arms and your head gently draw you forward with gravity into the forward fold, adding some length to your spine. Some people like to think about headstands and handstands being the penultimate inversions of yoga, and we say that anytime you get upside down, there's just a bunch of benefits that are there for you, regardless of what your body looks like. If you're in the practice of advancing to a headstand or a handstand and you want to take an in-between pose that'll help you build up the strength to get there, I'm going to demonstrate half handstand, which will help you to put some additional weight into your upper extremities, practice stabilizing your shoulder blades against your rib cage, and get you to that balance point so you can start to feel what upside down in a handstand might feel like. So to start, you're gonna stand up against a wall and kick your leg out. You want your hands to end up about the same distance away from the wall as your foot would be if you bring your foot all the way out. So I've placed my mat so the front edge is about where my hands need to be. I'm gonna place my hands down about shoulder width apart on the mat and take a short downward dog up against the wall. This initial pose allows me to get some stretch into my thoracic spine and stabilize my shoulder blades onto the back of my rib cage. From here, I'm going to place one foot and then the other on the wall behind me so that I end up with my upper body in a handstand, practicing pressing through my arms. I am pressing away from the floor. I'm actively contracting the muscles around my shoulder blades to stabilize them on my back. And I'm pulling my belly button in toward my spine to engage my core. From here, you're welcome to play with lifting one leg at a time, maybe even letting it go back just a little bit to play again with that balance point of being upside down in a full handstand. When you're ready, bring your feet back down to the ground and take a child's pose. Thanks so much for coming. We hope that you tried a few of these inversions and that they felt good in your body. Don't forget to post a picture of yourself doing an inversion of your choice with the hashtag OMED2020 upside down.